Ukraine has already managed to thwart 2 offensive operations by the Russian army, but Russia is preparing for 2 more offensive operations in the autumn. This was stated by President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky in an interview with Sky News. In my opinion, we acted very timely. We thwarted 2 operations, completely thwarted 2 offensive operations. The third, I think, honestly, in a day or 2 we will understand that they suffered heavy losses, and nothing worked out for them, but I need 1 or 2 days to say this publicly. They are preparing for 2 more offensive operations in the autumn. I believe that things went much worse for the Russians than they expected. They are doing much worse than they reported to Putin. Putin doesn't know about this. I think he doesn't realize it, but he has schedules, he has reports, and at some point he will see it, said Zelensky. According to him, the mood in Europe and the US is indeed changing a little. Overall, I am glad, truly glad, that all of Russia's advances, all of their offensive missions, there have been 3, and they are planning 2 more heavy offensive campaigns. Their last 3 missions have failed. In my view, this is a very important signal. Firstly, what I told the Europeans and the White House, that the Russians would not succeed in taking our east, and that what they are telling you, that they can occupy the city of Sumy, all of this is lies and manipulation, and we would prove it. And that is exactly what happened. The Russians lost 3 campaigns, he told. Zelensky added that the Russians had suffered heavy losses in manpower and equipment and are now under great strain. Meanwhile, he noted that Ukrainian forces should be supported with weapons and financial assistance that goes into weapons production, and then Ukraine will be able to withstand 2 more Russian offensive campaigns. Recall, British intelligence, analysts from the Institute for the Study of War and the authoritative publication Bloomberg almost unanimously state that Russia is carrying out a large-scale regrouping of its forces, redeploying up to 100,000 troops to the Donetsk front. The troops are being withdrawn from the Kharkiv, Sumy and even Kherson regions in order to concentrate the striking force to successfully achieve the seizure of the entirety of the Donetsk region. The discourse is focused on the forces referred to by Russian propagandists as elite. These are the units of the 40th and 155th Marine Brigades, the 177th Marine Regiment of the Caspian Flotilla, units of the 11th and 76th Airborne Assault Brigades, as well as the 70th Motorized Rifle Regiment. Some analysts predict that such a concentration of forces points to Russia's intention to focus its autumn offensive on capturing the still unoccupied part of the Donetsk region, in particular the areas of Dobropilya, Pokrovsk and Kostiantynivka. At the same time, the decrease in activity in the Sumy and Kharkiv directions indicates the failure of Russian attempts to create a so-called buffer security zone in the north. Oleksandr Kovalenko, military columnist at information resistance think tank, calls for caution about the news of the scale of Russian troops redeployment. He confirms the reports about individual Russian units being redeployed closer to the Donbass front, but believes the global concentration of forces to be an exaggeration.
The Ukrainian Defense Forces have made significant progress in the border area of Sumy Oblast. More than 20 square kilometers of territory have already been liberated. The enemy has been pushed back to the border. Part of the occupation group has found itself in operational encirclement. This was reported by the Z Resource Northern Channel associated with the Russian Armed Forces. In Alexeyevka, everything is going to, let's call it, an operational encirclement for now. But in human terms, the guys there are already on the edge. The Russian channel wrote, the influential OSINT project, Deep State, reported success on this section of the front the day before. Soldiers of the 225th Assault Regiment managed to push the Russian armed forces back from fortified areas near Konstantinovka and Novokonstantinovka. Apparently, this seriously complicated the situation for Putin's army. Earlier, media reported that the Ukrainian armed forces had destroyed the offensive potential of Putin's army in the Sumy region. The enemy's plans had been completely thwarted. The commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, said that clashes in the border area continue, but the occupiers have lost their offensive capabilities due to the enormous losses they have suffered. Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukrainian defenders continue to resist Russian offensive actions in Donetsk and Zaporizhia regions. The president thanked all Ukrainian soldiers performing combat missions in the above-mentioned areas. The president also said that at the headquarters meeting, much attention was paid to issues of air defense and the supply of air defense systems. The head of state noted the need to accelerate work with partners to more quickly obtain systems and missiles which will ensure reliable protection of critical infrastructure. The head of state noted the good performance of interceptor production, while it is important to increase operator training. An analysis of the effectiveness of strikes on Russian infrastructure, in particular on logistics routes and fuel facilities, was also conducted. Putin's army was actively fighting in the area of Varachino, Andriivka, and Yunakovka. At the same time, Ukrainian forces counter-attacked in the area of Andriivka, Alexiivka, and Novokonstantinovka. A Russian military correspondent associated with the northern group of Russian forces said that the Russian military command has significantly strengthened the 83rd Airborne Brigade in the Varachinsky direction, but the servicemen are unhappy because they suspect that their military command will soon give them the order to attack. According to him, the units of the Chechen Special Forces Akhmat continue to operate in the Novonikolayevka area, but have consolidated their positions and are not attacking. However, according to rumors, the 22nd Motorized Rifle Regiment is reporting that the units of the Chechen Special Forces Akhmat have left their positions in the Novonikolayevka area. Drone operators of the 217th Airborne Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces and the 106th Airborne Division continue to strike Ukrainian positions along the Kursk-Sumy regional border, and drone operators of the Anvar Special Forces Unit and the Smuglyanka Unit strike Ukrainian positions in the Sumy direction.